Hello, hey everybody. This is Dave Wallace coming to you from Waihoa, Hawaii. And it's story time. It's Sunday and Memorial Day Sunday, and tomorrow's the holiday. So I want to wish all of you folks out there a safe holiday. And if you decide to, uh, enjoy yourself and party, try to stay close to home and stay off the roads, okay? Anyway, this week I wanted to share with you a continuation of a discussion I started last time, and this is regarding road signs. And road signs, what I mean by road signs, these are events, specific events that happen in our lifetime that serve as markers. And these markers are serve as reminders, like if we're doing something correct or if we need to change direction in our lives. Okay, and so there are many road signs or events that come up into our lives that if we are paying attention, it can really help us. So you need to be aware of what's going on, okay? Constantly aware of these opportunities. This particular road sign event occurred in 2014. And during this time, by 2014, I was a remote viewer. I had been trained in three different ways of remote viewing. I was a Reiki master and doing my own healing thing. And I just began combining Reiki with remote viewing and creating Haki. So this is right around that time period. Around this time, I was invited to join a group of men that was organizing. It was called La'akane, La'akane, or Sacred Men. And the organizer of this group was Kamana'o Pono. Anyway, Kamana'o Pono invited me to attend this meeting where I would meet with other people. And the purpose of this group was to serve as a discussion group and as a way for us to share our experiences and manao, the specialized skills that we had. Kamanao, once he found out that I was a remote viewer, he was really interested. He wanted to learn how to do that because of the various applications. A lot of people wanted to learn how to do that, especially when they found out that I was using this skill to remote view the lottery. Okay, and that seemed to attract a lot of people. Anyway, I attended this meeting, and when I got to the meeting and we sat around a table, and Kamana Opono had two guests in there that I did not recognize, and they were man and a woman, both Oriental. And when he introduced these people to the crowd, we found out that this man was from Maui and his name was Roy Goya, Uncle Roy Goya. He was a medium, a psychic medium, and he was a primary counselor and guide, kind of like a mentor to Kamala'o in his own spiritual path. And apparently, Uncle Roy was a mentor to a lot of people here on the island of Oahu. I was going to say Molokai. All right, so that was him, and he was there mainly as an advisor. So when Kamanao gave us the opportunity to introduce ourselves, and it was my turn, I stood up and told everybody what it was, what I did for a living. I was a teacher, and my specialized skill was that I'm a Reiki master and a remote viewer. As soon as I said remote viewer, I looked at Uncle Roy, and Uncle Roy's face just lit up. Like, whoa. And so when his face lit up, I realized that he understood what remote viewing was, and perhaps he had some questions for me. So throughout the discussion that night, the meeting lasted about hour and a half to 2 hours, and at the end of the meeting, um, and people were kind of like walking out, and Uncle Roy decided to sit and chat with some of the other people there, and I patiently waited until he was available, and then when he became available, I walked up to him and shook his hand. And he said, "Oh, remote viewer." I said, "Yeah, that's one of the things I do." And and he said, and he started looking at me, and we started to converse, just small talk, kind of like feeling each other out. And while we were engaged in small talk, I noticed his eyes began to kind of like go around me, and I know that I have several spirits that surround me, and since he's a medium, he would probably see them. And sure enough, when I see his eyes started looking around, I kind of like joked at him, and I says, "What? You see my spirits, my friends around me?" And he looks at me and says, "Yeah, I see them." Says, "Well, can you describe them to me? And is there a reason why they hang around me?" Uh, Uncle Roy looked at the first person standing here, and he says, "You know, the person standing behind your right side is a female. It's a Hawaiian female. Really, really stringy hair, barbed wire hair. Okay, real Hawaiian hair. And white hair, and she's smiling, she's beautiful, and she's holding um, a wooden bowl with kihei inside." And I looked at Uncle Roy and says that the only person that would do that is my grandma Ellen. And he nodded. Yeah, that's her. Okay. And what is she doing with this? What is she doing with the bowl and the kihei? Uncle Roy says she's offering that as symbols of her family spirituality. She's offering it to you. She wants you to adopt this and take care of it. And I looked at her, I looked at Uncle Roy and says, "This is the grandma my mom tried to keep me away from." And she's trying to give me these things. He says, "Yeah, and it's really important to her that you do this." I said, "Okay, I'll think about it." And who's this other person? And he kind of looked at him, looked over here, and started describing a shorter Hawaiian man, short hair, beard, and very stern, serious look. He's the kind of person that rarely smiles, really stern. And he came across like a very important person. You don't mess with this person. And as he started describing it, I said, "Wow, this sounds like a man that I know that used to approach me in my dreams in when I was young, and never smiled. I thought he was grumpy, but he was really friendly and warm to me." And I said, "Yeah, I think I know who this person is." "Well, who is this? You know his name?" And I says, "I was told that his name is Heva Heva, the Kahuna Nui for Kamehameha the first and second." And when I said that, Uncle Roy said, "Well, this man wants you to step into his shoes and become initiated." Step into his shoes. That was a shock for me because I was not prepared and I was never trained as a kahuna. Why would a kahuna nui want me to step into his shoes, knowing that there was no one alive that could train me to do that? So I says, "This request I cannot accept." Okay. And Uncle Ray looked at me and says, you know what? These people have been hounding you for a long time. They've been wanting you to do certain things, but you've been resisting. Why is that? Says, well, some of these things that they want me to do and stuff, I don't think, I should be doing that. And he says, Uncle Ray says, didn't you ask them that you wanted to be like them? I backed up. I said, how do you know that? They're saying, hey, you asked to be like us and we're giving you the opportunity now. Why aren't you taking that? And I says, whoa, I really got to think about this. And um, finally, Uncle Ray came up closer to me and says, boy, um, didn't you have a heart attack and near death experiences just recently? I said, yeah, I had open heart surgery. I showed him my scars. And I said, yeah, I had 4 near-death experiences. Why? And he looked at me real seriously and says, are you waiting for the 5th near-death experience or something to really take you out before you make up your mind? I couldn't argue that point. Okay? Now is the time for me to make the choice. And so, I hugged him and thanked him and gave me food for thought. And as I drove home, slowly drove home to Waiho, I began asking my kupuna, says, you guys really want me to do that? You folks really, however, you really want me to step into your shoes? What do you mean by that? You need to show me, tell me what it is so I can make a clear, good decision for me. Right now, it doesn't feel right, but I need clarification. Okay? So I went home, and that night when I slept, my grandma and Heavenly came to me in my dream. My grandma handed me the bowl and says, boy, these are symbols. And symbols are important in our culture because it gives you the intent. What is your intent? And I says, well, the reason why I prayed is that I wanted the spiritual gifts and abilities that my ancestors had, that you folks had. And she smiled and says, well, here it is. And you're going to have to use these symbols, make them alive, make them part of you. Okay, I can do that. Okay. And I turned to Heavenly and I said, I don't know any Kahuna Nui. I know I read some things about Kahuna Nui. There's a Kahuna Nui on the Big Island. There's another Kahuna Nui, here on Oahu. I'm not too sure what Kahuna Nui he is and what's his purpose. And so I asked, have I have in my dream? I said, what do you mean? Step into your shoes and become initiated. And he told me, he says, stepping into his shoes is accepting the responsibility of helping people, helping prepare people for future events. And he reminded me that his main job as a kahuna nui was to advise the king and the ruling chiefs of impending dangers that may be coming up. And his job was just to deliver the message. And it was up to the ruling chiefs to decide whether to follow the advice or go their own ways. Okay? So I would be a messenger, and there would be messages that I would be forced to give that not everybody would like. Okay? make them feel uncomfortable. But as long as I'm speaking the truth, I'll be doing my job. And it says, is that it? It says, yeah. That's basically what I'm asking you to do. Step into my shoes. Help people, prepare people for future events that may be coming up, and so that they can prepare for these events much better. And he pointed to my eyes and says, you see the things that you're doing? And he kind of like scribble in the air, drawing. I go, oh yeah, the remote viewing. Says, exactly. Where do you think that comes from? I don't know. Says, we did that. The visions that come to your mind and stuff is the same way. We did. We worked our images of the future. They used to come in images right here. And I point right where my blackboard, for those of you who were trained in remote viewing, you point to the place right here, about a foot away from, right in front of us, this black area, right where blackboard is. And you point right there. It says the images that show up right here. That's what we did. So learn how to do that. And in learning how to do that and interpreting what you see and telling people about it, you be stepping into my shoes. And I looked at him, I says, oh, I'm already doing that, so I can easily take care of that. And he laughed. He says, yeah, we know. That's why we're standing kind of here. We're standing here confused because you're already doing the work, but you're not accepting the responsibility. So accept the responsibility and step into my shoes. And beyond that, being initiated, there's going to be a person that comes into your life shortly that will give you the proper initiation. And that proper initiation will be the subject of next week's story time. Okay? Anyway, this is Dave Wallace, and I hope you folks enjoyed story time today, and I look forward to you folks next week. Okay? And don't forget, if you want to read my stories, this story is part of chapter 12 in my book, The Journey of Our Souls. And there is a difference between what's in the book and what I'm telling you. Some of the things that I'm telling you never made it into the book because they were edited out. Okay? And I'm not the only person that was involved in writing the book. I had editors and I had proofreaders. So what was printed, some of these things were edited out. Some of these things I forgot to write. Okay? So anyway, take care, and I'll catch you folks next week. Okay? And this is Dave Wallace from Waihoa saying aloha.